On this episode of the Exactly How podcast and YouTube show, we uncover different ways to use renewable energy to improve your return on investments, possibilities of private funding with PACE, and how to use these tools when you're flipping your own real estate investments.
You're listening to the Exactly How podcast, where you'll hear the underground, closely guarded wealth building secrets of successful people around the globe. Discover exactly how to improve your mental, physical, and financial health. Feel better, make more money, live, give, and prosper in today's exciting, fast-paced world filled with opportunity for those who know exactly how.
Welcome to the Exactly How podcast and YouTube show, brought to you by Connected Investors. During this episode, you're going to discover exactly how to renovate your investment properties using renewable energy resources. Now, for those of you who are new, my name is Sean Young, today's host and proud member of the Connected Investor community. Now, before I introduce our incredible guest speaker today, I want to make a request that if at any point in the show you like what you're hearing, please give us a thumbs up or subscribe to the show so that you don't miss an episode. And make sure to look in the description of this episode as we've packed it with thousands of dollars in free resources. Now today, we have the privilege to learn from a man who managed to secure funding for 15 years at 5.94% with no out-of-pocket costs through the PACE program, reducing the lighting, utilities by 70% and achieving a first-year ROI of 74%. Now, prior to his career in real estate, he was a chief engineer designing exhaust systems for Nissan vehicles. All that changed when he was at a networking event and got involved in a discussion about efficiency, conservation, and renewable energy improvements, and why so few companies adopt them, and has now been in the business for over 8 years. I would describe our guest as an optimist and a stickler for details. I'd like to introduce you to the one, the only, Scott Ringline. Scott, thanks for being a guest on today's show today.
Hey, Sean, thanks for having me.
Now, guys, before we dive exactly into how to renovate your investment properties using renewable energy resources, Scott, you contribute a lot of your success to your knowledge. Why do you think this has played such a huge role in your success?
Well, the programs that we're involved with, very little people know about them, even though they've been around since 2009, so we're going on 11 years, but it's just not known by the general public.
Now, what makes the Exactly How Financial Freedom podcast and YouTube show unique is that every show comes with a detailed action plan. We pull the steps out of the show and create a blueprint on how to implement exactly what we're uncovering. All you have to do is visit connectedinvestors.com/free to get the key takeaways and the resources, as well as the free gifts that Scott has generously allowed us to give you today. Plus, you're going to see our free training right now. Text the word exactly to 910-600-0630 to see for yourself that this is exactly how I make my money, guys. Now, you can find properties in any town for pennies on the dollar using the software that I use each and every day. So again, text the word exactly to 910-600-0630. Now, as nearly 1 million people know, Connected Investors is a social network of real estate investors and a marketplace of investment properties. In the description of this video, I've included a link to this episode's forum discussion. Now, Scott, before we get started, can you define what PACE is and why this would be great for our listeners?
You bet, Sean. So PACE is an acronym for Property Assessed Clean Energy. It is a state-based program, so it's an act of legislation, but it uses private, non-bank, non-tax money to fund it. So it's a funding program that is following the property tax assessment rules. It allows an owner of a building, typically a commercial multifamily, to take on a property tax assessment to do improvements in the areas of efficiency, conservation, and renewable energy. What's important to the owners is that, first of all, on their balance sheet, it's not considered a debt, it's a tax. So it just shows up as something that they have to pay. It's an expense. Also, access to long-term funding. So you're able to get access to 20, 25 years fixed rate funding.
Okay.
And it's non-secured, meaning there is no personal guarantee required. It is fixed on the property. So you're using the value of the property as a security to back it. And upon sale, it transfers with the property. So there's no payoff at the end of the assessment or if you sell within the assessment period.
Wow, that is incredible. You know, a lot of our listeners are always concerned about how to get funding. So, I mean, this sounds like a great resource that our listeners could definitely tap into.
It certainly is. And there's a lot of resources out there to, to self-educate themselves for sure.
Now, before the show, we broke it down into 3 steps: understanding and determining if PACE exists and where they are buying properties, understanding the rules of engagement, and don't do it alone, working out with the experts. So Scott, can you start off with step number 1, understanding and determining if PACE exists?
Yeah, so because it's an act of legislation, it's a law, there's a great resource out there, and it's called PACE Nation, and you can go to pacenation.org, and you can look up your state, find out whether PACE exists, and then it'll give you contact information in regards to who's administrating the program for your state.
Awesome. Now, now that site that you just gave out there, is that something that, anybody can just go and fill out, or do you need an expert's help, or should they contact you before they go to this site? How does that work?
Yeah, so this site, it's a nonprofit organization, and it's really a library of knowledge about this program. So you can go out there, learn more about it, how it's being used, case studies, but more importantly, for the first step, does it exist in my state and who's administering it? So then you can figure out whether or not wherever you're buying your property, does it exist and can it be used?
Which basically kind of takes us into step number 2, which is understanding the rules of engagement. Could you break that down a little bit more for us?
Yeah, you bet. So because it's a state-based program, every state is going to be slightly different in regards to how you can use it, what you can use it on. And so it's important to understand that before you, jump in with both feet, which really leads us to the third step, which is, hey, find an expert that understands how it all works. One of the big things that they have to overcome is that if you're carrying a mortgage on your property, to take on this assessment, you have to have consent by any other property that has or any other party that has a lien on your property. This is a hurdle that needs to be taken care of right away rather than at the end of the process. And these are the little things that most don't realize exist. But, people that work in the industry like ourselves, those are the things that we bring up right away and we take care of them right away. That way, as they move through the process, they're not concerned about these little hiccups that's going to set them back.
Understood. So how can folks get a hold of you out there?
The best way is to visit our website. It's www.energyalliancegroup.org, and they can, click the contact button. It'll eventually end up in my mailbox. And most of what we can help with can all be done through a quick phone call or a few emails to kind of vent out what they'd like to do and whether or not these types of programs and other programs exist in the area that they're buying the property.
Understood. Well, guys, as a reminder, if at any point in the show you like what you're hearing, please give us a thumbs up or subscribe to the show so that you don't miss an episode. Your engagement is what drives us to keep doing this for the community for free. Now, Scott, what do you think your life would be like if you never went to that networking event and you were still working in the engineering field?
Say that again, Sean. I'm sorry.
No problem. I said, Scott, what do you think your life would be like if you had never went into that networking event and you were still working in the engineering field?
I'd be tied to my corporate desk. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Got it. Got it. So basically, your corporate America wasn't your cup of tea.
It was until you step outside of it. '08, when the automotive industry collapsed, I was one of them that lost their job and had to recreate myself and, what I was going to do. And that really led to my, heavy investment in networking, meeting people. I always tell people, walk around with your ears open because you never know what you might hear or who you might meet. Yeah. And that's really what's led to, what we've been doing for the last 12 years and our success.
Scott, I think what you just said is huge. I mean, a lot of times you just don't know what you don't know. You kind of don't know until you go there and, step on that other side, so to speak, and I get a taste or a feel of what that's like. And, like you say, once you kind of go there, you definitely don't want to go back. That's for sure.
Yep. It's got pros and cons, that's for sure. But once you're in and you make that commitment, there's nothing better.
I would agree. Now, Scott, that brings us to our rapid fire session of the episode, where I ask you a few questions and you give me the first answer that comes to mind.
Sounds good.
All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, how strict were your parents?
Oh, we were at the 8, 9 level.
Okay. Get up early or stay up late?
Both.
How many hours of sleep do you get?
Well, last night I worked until 3 and I was up by 7:30.
Okay. Favorite or last book that you've read?
Wow. So, truth be told, I'm not a book reader. I'm more of a periodical editorial reader. And let's see, the last thing I read was some articles in a magazine called Bottom Line.
Okay. Now, if you could be any superhero, who would it be?
Wow. Probably Wonder Dog.
Okay. Something everyone should do less of?
Complain.
Something everyone should do more of?
Be grateful.
Bitcoin, bang or bust?
Boy, I don't know enough about it, so I would say right now it's a bust.
Okay. Will people live on Mars in your lifetime?
No.
All right. Well, Scott, is there anything else you think would be important for our listeners to understand about the renewable energy process and how it can definitely be utilized in their business?
You know what? Don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone to look at other mechanisms to improve your property and to improve your cash flow. This is a great way to get access to cash without having to put cash out. And you're going to use it towards improvements that are going to reduce your operational cost, improve your property, maybe get a higher rent, and more importantly, create a cash flow right at the beginning of the improvement.
Which is what we're looking for, guys. Quick returns on our investments. That's what it's all about, guys. So, I mean, what more could you ask for?
Yeah.
Sounds like a great opportunity, Scott.
Yep.
Well, guys, you have made it to the end of the show, and most people don't finish what they start. So you're special. Now, if you got any value out of today's show, please share it with a friend or on your Facebook page. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and send us topics that you want to learn more about. And like I said earlier, nearly 1 million people use the Connect Investors social network and marketplace to connect. Now, in the description of this episode, there's included a link to this episode's forum discussion. Tap that link, ask me and other pros questions, and see what other investors are saying about this episode. So guys, until next time, you can catch me on the inside of Connected Investors. See you next time.
The Connected Investors app connects you with investors, notifies you of available properties, helps locate cash buyers, and secure private funding to close deals. Set up in seconds to become a member of the Connected Investors social network. Now you can scroll through your main feed to find cash buyers, see investment properties not available to the general public, and network with investors by adding your own comments to a thread to keep the conversation going. The Control Center is your connection to add properties to sell, start new discussions, connect with local investors, and even find private funding. The Notifications tab will keep you alerted to new investment properties and offers. You'll also find new friend requests to connect directly with the community to build your network. From the property marketplace, you'll be able to find, favorite, and make offers on investment properties. Download Connected Investors today to find, figure, fund, and flip investment properties on the go.